My name is Noah Williams. I'm 41 years old, and 14 years ago my family deleted my contact from their phones and acted like I was dead. Then my uncle posted one picture of my yacht on Facebook, and my dad texted me within an hour asking for money. If you've ever been invisible to your own family until you had something they wanted, keep watching, because what happened next will make you rethink everything about loyalty and blood ties. 14 years ago, I stood in our cramped kitchen in Detroit, the smell of burnt coffee hanging in the air like a warning I should have heeded. I was 27 years old, and I had just landed the biggest opportunity of my life. My hands were shaking as I tried to tell them. Dad sat in his worn recliner, eyes glued to the Lions game, grunting at every play like the team could actually hear his disapproval through the screen. Mom was doing that thing she always did, wiping down counters that were already clean, finding invisible messes to avoid actual conversation. My younger brother Marcus was sprawled on the couch, laptop open, frantically managing his failing sneaker resale business, the one they had remortgaged the house to fund 6 months earlier. I cleared my throat. Got the promotion. Regional operations manager. They're relocating me to Miami. $75,000 salary to start. The words fell into the room like stones into a well. Nothing. Not even an echo. Marcus didn't look up from his screen. Just sold a pair of Jordans for $300. Finally turning profit this month. Mom nodded at him, that proud smile spreading across her face, the one I had been chasing my entire life. That's wonderful, honey. Your father and I knew you'd make it work. Dad turned the volume up 2 clicks. I stood there, my promotion announcement hanging in dead air, watching them celebrate Marcus's $300 sale while ignoring my career breakthrough that would change my entire life trajectory. That night, my Uncle Jerome found me on the back porch, smoking a cigarette I had bummed from the neighbor. I didn't even smoke, but I needed something to do with my hands to stop them from shaking with rage and hurt. He sat down beside me, his old joints creaking. Been watching this play out for years, Noah. They don't see you, man. They won't ever see you. Not because you're not worth seeing. Because they've already decided who gets their attention, and that decision was made a long time ago. He lit his own cigarette. You take that job in Miami. You go down there, and you build something they can't ignore. And even then, you don't owe them a damn thing. His words cut through the fog of confusion I had been living in. The clarity was brutal and necessary. I packed everything that mattered into 2 duffel bags. Left my key on the kitchen counter next to a note that just said Miami. New number soon. I didn't say goodbye. There was no one to say it to who would actually care. The bus to the airport left at 4 in the morning. I watched Detroit disappear through the grimy window, the city lights fading into darkness, and I felt something I hadn't expected. Relief. Pure, weightless relief. Miami hit me like a wall of heat and opportunity. I stepped off that plane with 2 bags and $73 in my checking account until my first paycheck cleared. The company put me up in a budget hotel near the port for 2 weeks while I found permanent housing. I spent those first days walking the docks, watching cargo ships and cruise vessels navigate the channels, learning the rhythm of a city that ran on water and commerce. The job was everything they promised. Managing logistics for a shipping coordinator, tracking container movements, negotiating with dock workers and customs officials, solving problems that cost thousands of dollars per hour when they went wrong. I was good at it. Better than good. I could see patterns others missed, anticipate delays before they cascaded into disasters. 3 months in, I moved into a efficiency apartment in Little Havana. 600 square feet, bars on the windows, but it was mine. My phone stayed quiet. I checked it obsessively those first weeks, some pathetic part of me still hoping for a text, a call, something acknowledging I existed. Nothing. I scrolled through my contacts one night after 2 mini beers and noticed they were gone. Mom. Dad. Marcus. I didn't delete them. They deleted me. The finality of it should have hurt more, but instead it felt like cutting dead weight. I blocked their numbers, blocked their social media, and decided that if they wanted me erased, I would give them exactly what they wanted. Jerome texted every Sunday without fail. Still vertical? That was his opening line every single week. At first, I sent 1-word responses. Yeah, alive. Fine. He never pushed for more. Never asked about the family. Just checked in like clockwork. Slowly, my responses grew. Got promoted to senior coordinator. Salary jumped to $92,000. Found a better place near the water. Jerome's replies were always the same. Proud of you, nephew. Keep building. Those 3 words meant more than every conversation I had ever had with my parents combined. I avoided social media like it was contaminated, but one night I logged into an old Facebook account to download photos I had backed up years ago. Marcus's page popped up and suggested friends. I clicked before I could stop myself. His sneaker business had expanded, new warehouse, employees, celebrity endorsements. The comments section was a parade of family praise. My brilliant son, Mom had written under a photo of Marcus posing with inventory. Dad shared a post about Marcus's appearance on a local business podcast. So proud of this young entrepreneur. No mention of me, not even in old posts. It was like I had been digitally erased, photoshopped out of family history. I deleted the app, threw my phone across the room, and spent the next hour staring at the ceiling, processing the depth of their disregard. Work became my oxygen. I coordinated 20 vessel operations, managed a team of 15, negotiated contracts that saved the company hundreds of thousands annually. My boss, a sharp woman named Rita, promoted me to director of port operations. 130,000 base plus performance bonuses. You're the best hire I've ever made, she told me during my review. You see the whole chessboard. I bought my first real furniture, traded the efficiency for a 2-bedroom condo with a balcony overlooking Biscayne Bay. The ocean became my therapy, the endless horizon a reminder that the world was bigger than the people who rejected me. Jerome's texts evolved into actual conversations. Heard through the grapevine you're running the whole operation down there. I sent him photos of the port, the massive ships I coordinated, the office where I made decisions that rippled through international supply chains. He responded with voice notes. Your grandmother would have lost her mind seeing you like this. She always said you had something special. Keep proving it. I saved every message, played them back when imposter syndrome crept in during 3 a.m. planning sessions. By year 2, I had saved $80,000. I started researching yacht ownership, studying depreciation curves, maintenance costs, slip fees, insurance requirements. It started as a fantasy, a way to visualize success, but it evolved into a concrete goal. I walked the marina after work, talked to owners, learned which brands held value, which engines were bulletproof, what red flags to avoid. The dream crystallized from vague aspiration into tactical plan. Holidays passed unmarked on my calendar. Thanksgiving was takeout Chinese and spreadsheets. Christmas was a bonus check and a solo cruise on a rental boat. My birthday came and went without acknowledgement. I celebrated with Rita and the port crew, shots at a waterfront bar, stories about shipping disasters and near misses. Someone asked about family. I shrugged. Not in the picture. They didn't press. In Miami, half the people were running from something. I fit right in. Jerome called after a hurricane scare. Power knocked out up here. You good down there? The storm had missed us by 50 miles, just heavy rain and some flooding. I told him the port sustained no damage. Operations resumed within 8 hours. He sent a voice message that I still have saved. You built something real, Noah. Something solid. Don't let anyone make you question that. His voice cracked on the last word. I played it on repeat during the long nights when doubt crept in like fog. Year 3, everything accelerated. Rita retired, recommended me as her replacement. I became director of all port logistics for Southern Florida. Salary jumped to $180,000 with profit sharing. I managed operations for 3 ports, coordinated hundreds of vessels monthly, employed a staff of 40. The stress was crushing and exhilarating. I thrived under pressure. My bank account grew. My boat fund swelled past the 6-figure mark. Then I found her. A 42-foot Silverton yacht, hurricane damage, motivated seller. She was priced at $230,000, worth $400 after repairs. I walked the deck with a surveyor, checked every inch of hull, ran diagnostics on the twin diesel engines. Solid bones. Good lines. Fixable damage. I made an offer. $200 flat, cash as is. They accepted within an hour. The closing happened at a marina office, notary public presiding, transfer of title and funds executed in 20 minutes. The broker handed me the keys. She's all yours, Mr. Williams. I stood on that deck, my deck, and felt something shift in my chest. This was mine, earned through years of nights I wanted to quit, moments I felt invisible, times I questioned if anyone would ever see my value. I renamed her Phoenix. Had the letters painted in bold navy across the stern. What rises from ashes, reborn stronger. Jerome was the first person I told. Bought a yacht. Closed today. His response was immediate. A call, not a text. His voice was thick. Your grandmother is dancing somewhere, nephew. This is legacy building. I stood on Phoenix's deck, phone pressed to my ear, and let myself feel proud. Mason Torres entered my life through a random insurance requirement. My policy needed upgrading for a vessel over 40 feet. Mason arrived in pressed khakis, portfolio under one arm, golden retriever named Duke trailing beside him. Policy audit, he said, shaking my hand. We toured Phoenix bow to stern. He pointed out coverage gaps I hadn't considered, liability scenarios that could sink me financially, weather event protection specific to Florida waters. I signed the upgraded policy immediately. Smart investment, he nodded. Call if your situation changes. Turns out Mason was Jerome's nephew, though neither mentioned it directly. I figured it out when Jerome texted asking how the insurance meeting went. Small world. Mason became a regular contact, quarterly reviews evolving into financial strategy sessions. He helped me structure an LLC, shield personal assets, optimize tax positions. We met on Phoenix, spread paperwork across the deck table, Duke and my newly adopted rescue dog Luna wrestling on the dock. Mason ran numbers on potential charter business. You could generate $40,000 annually just renting her out on weekends, he explained. Offset your costs, build equity. I implemented every suggestion. Jerome started visiting monthly. Flew down from Detroit, rented a car, showed up with groceries and stories. We'd cruise to sandbars, drop anchor, grill fresh catch, talk about everything except the family that erased us both. He had been the black sheep too, the uncle who asked too many questions, challenged too many assumptions. They sidelined him decades ago. We were kindred spirits, bonded by rejection, building parallel lives away from people who demanded conformity. Work reached new heights. I negotiated a port expansion deal worth $12 million, brought in 3 new shipping contracts, cut operational costs by 18% through automation. My bonus alone was $70,000. I upgraded Phoenix, added solar panels, satellite internet, custom navigation systems. I lived aboard 3 nights a week, the gentle rock of water replacing the static of land. Mason set up trusts, protected my growing assets behind legal walls. You're building generational wealth, he told me. Protect it like Fort Knox. Jerome's last visit before everything exploded. He pulled up to the dock, camera in hand. Let me get a photo for the memories. I posed on Phoenix's bow, afternoon sun catching the polished rails, Miami skyline backdrop. He snapped a dozen shots, checked them on his camera screen. These are incredible. The pride on his face was genuine, unfiltered. That's my nephew right there. Built this with his own hands, his own mind. I didn't think anything of it. Just another visit, another memory archived. 3 days later, my phone exploded. I was in a port meeting, negotiating a contract dispute, when the notification started. Messages from numbers I didn't recognize. Facebook friend requests from people I had never met. Emails flooding my inbox. I excused myself, checked my phone in the hallway. Jerome had posted the photo. Me on Phoenix, sun-drenched and successful. Caption reading. My nephew Noah Williams did what everyone said was impossible. Owns his own yacht at 32. Built it all from nothing. Proud doesn't cover it. The post had been shared 400 times. Comments poured in. That's the nephew who disappeared? He looks incredible. Didn't know he was doing that well. The family must be proud. I called Jerome immediately. What did you do? His laugh was sharp. Exactly what needed doing. They erased you, Noah. Time they saw what they missed. I paced the parking lot, adrenaline spiking. You tagged family members. I know, he said calmly. Let them choke on it. By evening, the post hit 1,000 shares. Screenshots flooded extended family group chats. Jerome forwarded them all. Aunt Carol. Is that really Noah? Cousin Denise. He has a yacht? How? Uncle Bernard. Must be nice to abandon your family and get rich. The comments revealed everything. Their shock, their envy, their desperate need to minimize what I had accomplished. Then the direct contact started. Tuesday morning, unknown number. Text preview. Noah, it's your dad. I sat in my office, staring at that message like it might explode. Heart pounding, I opened the full text. Saw Jerome's post. You're doing well. We should talk. Been too long. Call me. I didn't. I took a screenshot, sent it to Jerome. He replied instantly. Block him. They want something. More texts followed. Mom, honey, We've been thinking about you. Let's reconnect. Marcus. Bro, that yacht is sick. We need to catch up. Each message more transparent than the last. I blocked them all, but they adapted. Dad created a new number. We're flying down to see you. This weekend. Already booked tickets. My stomach dropped. I forwarded it to Mason. He responded with legal templates. Trespass notice ready if needed. Jerome called that night. They're coming for money. I guarantee it. Marcus's business is failing. Your dad's retirement fund is empty. They see you as a solution. I pressed my forehead against Phoenix's cabin window, watching moonlight ripple on dark water. What do I do? You hold the line, he said firmly. You built this without them. They don't get access now. Thursday, more intel arrived. Jerome had sources in Detroit, old neighbors who still talked. Marcus's sneaker business had collapsed, suppliers demanding payment up front after too many bounced checks. $170,000 in debt. Parents had remortgaged the house twice to cover his losses. The bank had started foreclosure proceedings. They were desperate, circling the drain, and I was the life raft they had spent 5 years ignoring. Friday, I prepared Phoenix like a fortress. Locked every cabin, secured valuables, installed additional cameras. Mason drafted formal trespass notices. Jerome flew down unannounced, showed up at my dock with determination in his eyes. I'm here when they arrive. You're not facing them alone. That night, we sat on Phoenix's deck, planning strategy like generals before battle. Stick to facts. Show no emotion. Give them nothing. I nodded, memorizing the script we created. Saturday afternoon, they arrived. I watched from Phoenix's helm as a rental car pulled into the marina parking lot. Dad stepped out first, polo shirt and khakis, trying to look casual. Mom emerged next, clutching her purse like a shield. Marcus climbed out last, eyes immediately scanning for Phoenix, spotting her, whistling low. I walked to the dock entrance, positioned myself at the gate. They approached with forced smiles, a family reunion performance for an audience of one. Noah. Dad's voice was artificially warm. Look at you. Mom rushed forward for a hug. I sidestepped. State your business. The smile faltered. Dad recovered quickly. We wanted to see you. Jerome's post. We realized how much time has passed. Marcus jumped in. Yeah, man. 5 years is crazy. Let's get on that yacht and talk. I crossed my arms. No. You don't board without explaining why you're here after 5 years of silence. The mask slipped. Dad's jaw tightened. Fine. We need to discuss family business. Inside. I gestured to a bench near the dock. Public space. Talk here. They exchanged glances. Mom started. Honey, your brother is going through a difficult time. His business hit some bumps. Marcus cut her off. The suppliers changed terms. Demanded upfront payment. I don't have $170,000 liquid right now. There it was. The real reason. Dad took over. We thought you could help. You're clearly doing well. Temporary loan. Family helps family. I let the silence stretch. Mom filled it desperately. We raised you to be generous. To support your brother when he struggles. Marcus nodded. I'd do the same for you. That made me laugh, sharp and bitter. Would you? When I got promoted 5 years ago, when I moved to Miami, started this career, where were you? Dad waved it off. Ancient history. We're here now. I leaned forward. You deleted my contact. Erased me from your phones. I checked. You removed me from family photos online. Mom dabbed her eyes. We were hurt you left without explaining. You vanished. I stood, towering over them. I told you about the promotion. In the kitchen. You ignored me for Marcus's $300 sneaker sale. You chose him then. You're choosing him now. The only difference is now you need my money. Marcus's face reddened. You're really going to let me lose everything over old grudges? I met his eyes. I'm not letting you do anything. You build a business on borrowed money. That's your consequence. Dad stood, trying intimidation. We're your family. This is obligation. I pulled my phone out. No. You're strangers who share my DNA. You had 5 years to reach out. You didn't. Now you need money. Suddenly I'm family again. Mom tried a different angle. We made mistakes. We admit it. But blood is blood. Help your brother rebuild. I shook my head. Blood is nothing. Jerome's blood. He's the only one who checked if I was alive, encouraged my success, showed up without needing anything. Where were you on my birthday? My promotions? When I bought Phoenix. Silence. Marcus snorted. We didn't know you wanted us to celebrate. You left. I turned to him directly. I sent a group text about my director position. All of you read it. None replied. You posted about your warehouse the same day. They congratulated you with paragraphs. Dad changed tactics. Fine. We failed you. Now make it right. Loan Marcus the money. He'll pay you back. I laughed outright. No, he won't. His business model is broken. Throwing money at it is lighting it on fire. Marcus lunged forward. You selfish piece o' Fiuro. Jerome appeared from behind Phoenix, stepping between us. That's enough. You came for money. He said no. Time to leave. Dad turned on Jerome. This is family business. Stay out of it. Jerome smiled coldly. I'm more family to Noah than you've been in 5 years. You're trespassing. Mom gasped. Trespassing? We're his parents. I pulled the notice Mason prepared. This is a legal document. You're on private marina property without permission. Leave now, or I call security. Marcus grabbed the paper, ripped it. We're not leaving until you help. I radioed marina security. 2 guards appeared within minutes. These people are trespassing. Please escort them out. Dad protested. We're his family. Guard checked his clipboard. Not on the authorized list. Let's go. They grabbed luggage. Mom cried. You're making a terrible mistake. Marcus yelled. You'll regret this when karma hits. Dad's final words. We raised you better than this. Cold and ungrateful. I watched security walk them to the parking lot, load them into their rental car, follow them out of the marina. Jerome put a hand on my shoulder. You did good. I exhaled shakily. Felt terrible. He squeezed. That's because you're decent. They're not. The difference matters. They tried for weeks after. Emails, texts from new numbers, messages through distant cousins. Each one more desperate, more accusatory. I blocked everything. Mason sent cease and desist letters. The contact stopped. Jerome kept tabs through his Detroit sources. Marcus's business liquidated within a month. Bankruptcy filed. Their house foreclosed. They moved to a 2-bedroom apartment in a rough neighborhood. Dad's retirement savings depleted. Mom took a job at a grocery store to cover rent. Part of me felt guilty. The part that remembered childhood, the few good moments before Marcus became the golden child. But Jerome talked me through it. You didn't cause their problems. They made financial decisions based on Marcus's failing business. They chose to invest in him repeatedly despite red flags. Now they're facing consequences. That's not on you. Mason agreed. You protected your assets. That's maturity. Guilt is manipulation they programmed into you. 6 months later, Jerome showed me screenshots from the family Facebook group. Mom had posted asking for prayers, financial help, medical bills, and rent overdue. Aunt Carol asked why they didn't ask me. The response: Noah chose money over family. He could have saved us. The comments piled on. Ungrateful son. Abandoned them when they needed him most. Jerome shook his head reading it. They're rewriting history, making themselves victims. I deleted Facebook entirely, cut that last thread of awareness. Phoenix became my sanctuary completely. I lived aboard full-time, rented out my condo for passive income. Mason set up the charter business. Phoenix generated $60,000 annually in bookings, paid for herself plus profit. I hired a part-time crew, marketed to corporate events and wedding parties. The yacht became an asset, not just a symbol. Work expanded internationally. I coordinated operations in the Caribbean, negotiated contracts in South America, built relationships across the Americas. My salary broke $250,000. Jerome visited quarterly. We cruised, fished, talked philosophy. He never mentioned the family unless I brought it up. When I did, his advice was consistent. You don't owe them your success. They didn't earn access to it. Year 5 anniversary of leaving Detroit arrived unmarked. I celebrated alone on Phoenix, anchored off Key Biscayne, watching sunset paint the sky orange and purple. Luna curled beside me. Mason texted congratulations on 5 years of strategic growth. Jerome called. Proud of the man you became. You did this right. I felt peace. Real, deep peace. The kind that comes from knowing you chose yourself when no one else would. The final message arrived on a Tuesday. Mom's number, one I hadn't blocked yet. Noah, your father had a heart attack. He's stable, but we need help with medical bills. Please. I stared at it for an hour. Called Jerome. What do I do? He sighed. That's your call. But remember, this is pattern. Crisis equals contact. They never reached out to celebrate you. Only to use you. I typed a response. I'm sorry he's ill. I cannot provide financial assistance. I wish you the best. Blocked the number. Jerome called back. How do you feel? I sat on Phoenix's deck, processing. Sad. Not guilty. Just sad it came to this. He understood. That's growth. You can feel compassion without being responsible. They made choices. You made different ones. Both have consequences. Marcus tried one last approach. Created a fake Instagram, messaged me pretending to be an old high school friend. Hey man, remember me? Wanted to catch up. I reverse image, searched his profile picture. Found it on a stock photo site. I replied, Marcus, I know it's you. Lose this number. He came clean immediately. I'm desperate, Noah. Dad's sick. Mom's working herself to death. I just need 20,000 to stabilize. I can pay you back in a year. I called instead of texting. He answered on the first ring. Noah? I kept my voice even. You had 5 years to reach out. Not for money. Just to exist in my life. You didn't. Because I didn't matter until I had something you needed. He started to interrupt. I continued. Dad ignored my promotion announcement to ask for ketchup. You mocked my achievements to brag about $300 sales. Mom told me to be quiet so you could do your live stream. You erased me systematically. He fell silent. Marcus, I continued, I hope Dad recovers. I hope you find a way forward. But I'm not your solution. You need to build something real, not keep borrowing to delay consequences. He laughed bitterly. Easy for you to say from your yacht. I corrected him. I built this from a $73 checking account in a one-bedroom apartment with bars on the windows. No family money. No safety net. Just work and sacrifice. You had every advantage I never got and squandered it. That's painful, but it's true. What do I tell them? He asked, voice breaking. Tell them the truth. I said no. That I'm not the bank for family crisis anymore. He hung up without responding. I blocked the fake account, blocked every variation of his contact information I could find. Jerome texted later. Heard through the grapevine Marcus tried again. I confirmed. He asked if I felt bad. Honestly, no. Just tired. He sent back a single sentence. Then you're finally free. Phoenix is worth $600,000 now. I've upgraded her 3 times, added custom features, maintained her impeccably. The charter business generates $90,000 annually. My salary reached $300,000 with profit sharing. I'm 34 years old, living on a yacht in Miami, financially independent, surrounded by people I chose who value me beyond utility. Mason manages my investments. Jerome visits monthly. Luna is 8 now, graying around the muzzle, still my best companion. The family posts occasionally still. I hear about it through mutual connections who don't know the full story. They portray me as the villain who abandoned them in crisis. The ungrateful son who chose wealth over love. I don't correct the narrative. The people who matter know the truth. Everyone else's opinion is irrelevant. If your family ever made you feel invisible until you had something they wanted, understand this lesson. Blood relation doesn't equal obligation. Family is who shows up when you have nothing to offer but your presence. Who celebrates your wins without jealousy. Who checks on you without needing something. I learned that the hard way, spent years carrying guilt that didn't belong to me. Finally put it down when I realized their choices created their consequences, not mine. My father taught me an important lesson, though not intentionally. He taught me that some people will only see your value when it can serve them. My mother showed me that love with conditions isn't love at all. Marcus demonstrated that entitlement is a poison that destroys potential. Jerome proved that family is chosen, not assigned by genetics. I don't regret leaving. I don't regret saying no. I don't regret building a life they can't touch. Some people will call that cold. Those people never stood in a kitchen announcing life-changing news to a family who couldn't pause a football game to acknowledge it. They never packed everything they owned into 2 bags because staying meant disappearing. They never built something from absolute zero while the people who raised them pretended they didn't exist. Phoenix represents more than a yacht. She's proof that you can rise from ashes. That rejection can be redirection. That the people who erase you don't get to write your ending. Every sunset I watch from her deck reminds me that I chose myself when no one else would, and that choice saved my life. The question isn't whether I could have helped them financially. I absolutely could have. The question is whether helping people who systematically devalued me until they needed something serves any purpose beyond enabling their patterns. The answer is no. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let people face the natural consequences of their choices. Sometimes the healthiest boundary is complete separation. I hope my father recovers. I genuinely do. I hope Marcus finds a sustainable path. I hope my mother finds peace. But their journey is not my responsibility. I spent 27 years trying to earn love that was always conditional. I spent the next 7 building a life where my value isn't debatable. One path led to invisibility. The other led to Phoenix. I chose correctly. If you're standing in that kitchen right now, announcement dying in indifferent air, wondering if you're crazy for feeling unseen, you're not. If you're the child who achieves without acknowledgement while the sibling who fails gets endless support, your pain is valid. If you're considering leaving people who only remember you exist when they need something, that's not selfish. That's survival. Build your Phoenix. Whatever that means for you. Build something they can't touch, can't diminish, can't take credit for. Build it brick by brick, paycheck by paycheck, boundary by boundary. Surround yourself with people who celebrate you at your lowest, not just your highest. And when the people who erased you come calling because they finally see your worth, remember this. You don't owe access to the life you built from the ashes of their rejection. The turning point came in unexpected moments, not grand revelations. I remember the first time I docked Phoenix myself without crew assistance, threading her between million-dollar vessels with inches to spare. My hands were steady on the wheel, muscle memory from hundreds of practice runs. An older captain watched from his own yacht, nodded approval as I completed the maneuver. Clean work, son. That nod meant more than years of seeking approval from people programmed to withhold it. I had found my tribe. People who respected competence over bloodline, performance over potential, results over promises. Mason became more than my financial advisor. He became the brother I wish I had. We'd meet every quarter, but the conversation went beyond portfolios and tax strategies. He told me about his own family dynamics. A father who drank away his construction business, siblings who blamed him for succeeding when they stayed stuck. We were mirror images from different cities, both carrying the weight of being the one who got away. During one particularly brutal review session where we were restructuring my holdings to protect against potential lawsuits, he stopped mid-sentence. You know what you've done here? You've built a fortress, not just financially, emotionally. That's rarer than money. Most people who escape family dysfunction spend decades trying to fix the unfixable. You accepted the loss and moved forward. That's warrior-level strength. His words landed during a period when I was questioning everything. The anniversary of leaving Detroit was approaching, and despite all my growth, part of me wondered if I was the problem. If I had been too harsh, too unforgiving, too proud. Mason, read my face. Don't do that. Don't rewrite history to make them the victims. They had 365 days a year for 5 years to reach out without wanting something. They didn't. That's not on you. He pulled up a spreadsheet he had created tracking my net worth growth year over year. Look at this trajectory. You didn't achieve this by accident. You achieved it because you eliminated distractions and focused on building. Their chaos would have destroyed this. He was right. I knew he was right. But knowing and feeling are different continents. Jerome's next visit brought clarity through brutal honesty. We were fishing off Phoenix, lines in the water, Miami heat pressing down like a weighted blanket. He cracked a beer, took a long pull, stared at the horizon. Your grandmother, my mother, she had a saying. Don't set yourself on fire to keep ungrateful people warm. He turned to me. You know why she said that? Because she did it her whole life. Sacrificed her dreams to support family members who took and never reciprocated. She died with regrets. Noah died wishing she had chosen herself at least once. I made sure you didn't make that mistake. His voice cracked on the last word. I wanted to argue, to defend my parents, but the words wouldn't come. Because defending them meant invalidating my own experience, and I had spent too long doing exactly that. The real test of my resolve came 18 months after the security incident. I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. Normally I wouldn't answer, but I was expecting a contractor call back about Phoenix's engine maintenance. The voice on the other end was my mother's sister, Aunt Diane. I hadn't spoken to her in 7 years. Noah, I know you don't want to hear from us, but your mother is sick. Really sick. Cancer. Stage 3. Treatment is expensive. Your father's pride won't let him ask, but I'm asking. Please, just talk to them. I sat in Phoenix's cabin, phone pressed to my ear, feeling the old programming activate. The guilt, the obligation, the should. Mason and Jerome weren't there to reality check me. I was alone with the decision. Aunt Diane continued. I know they hurt you. I saw it happening. I should have said something back then, but I didn't. That's on me. But Noah, she's your mother. Whatever happened, she's still your mother. And she's scared. I took a breath. Ask the question that mattered. Did she ask you to call me? Or did you decide to do this yourself? Silence stretched. Diane finally answered. I decided. She doesn't know I'm calling. She thinks you hate her. I closed my eyes. I don't hate her. I don't hate any of them. But I can't fix this. I can't be the solution to problems I didn't create. Diane's voice hardened. So you're just going to let her suffer? I corrected her gently but firmly. No. I'm going to let the consequences of their financial decisions play out. They chose to fund Marcus's business instead of saving for emergencies. They chose to remortgage their house multiple times. They chose to delete me from their lives until they needed money. Those were choices. This is the result. Diane tried once more. You've changed, Noah. Miami turned you cold. I almost laughed. Detroit turned me invisible. Miami taught me I matter. Those aren't the same thing. She hung up without saying goodbye. I sat there for an hour, processing, expecting guilt to crush me. It didn't come. Instead, I felt something unexpected. Sadness. Not guilt. Just profound sadness that it had come to this. That the people who raised me had created a dynamic where helping them meant betraying myself. I called Jerome. Told him about Diane's call. His response was immediate. Do you want to help? Be honest. I considered it. Do I want my mother to suffer? No. Do I want to enable the pattern that got them here? Also no. Can I do one without the other? I don't think so. Jerome's exhale was long and slow. Then you have your answer. You can feel compassion without taking responsibility. Those can coexist. Send flowers to the hospital if you want. A card. But money? That's a line you've drawn for good reason. Don't cross it during a moment of emotion. I sent flowers. Anonymous. No card. Just an arrangement to the hospital room Diane mentioned. I didn't tell anyone. It wasn't about credit or contact. It was about the kind of person I wanted to be, separate from their expectations. I could acknowledge her pain without funding it. I could wish her well without rescuing her. The flowers were my closure. A final gesture of the child who once loved unconditionally before learning that love was conditional. Marcus tried a different strategy 3 months later. He sent a video message. 10 minutes long. Him sitting in their apartment, looking exhausted and older than 30. Noah, I'm sending this because I need you to understand something. I was jealous. From the time we were kids, I was jealous of how easy things came to you. School, sports, work. You made it look effortless. I had to fight for everything. When you got that promotion and moved to Miami, Mom and Dad were devastated. Not because you left, because they knew they had failed you. They knew they chose me over you repeatedly, and they didn't know how to fix it. So they did what scared people do. They pretended the problem didn't exist. They deleted you because facing you meant facing their guilt. He paused, rubbed his face. I built the business to prove I was worth something. To show them they didn't choose wrong. But I did it all wrong, man. I borrowed instead of built. I faked it instead of learning it. And when it collapsed, they lost everything trying to save me. That's not your fault. It's mine. I'm not asking for money. I know that ship sailed. I'm asking for something harder. Forgiveness. Not for them. For me. Because I carry what I did to you every day. The little brother who helped erase his older brother because it was easier than standing up to our parents. The video ended. I watched it 3 times. Looking for manipulation. For angles. For the catch. I didn't find one. Just a broken man taking accountability. I didn't respond immediately. I sat with it for a week. Showed it to Jerome and Mason separately. Both had the same reaction. He's sincere. What he's asking for is fair. But forgiveness doesn't require relationship. You can forgive and still maintain distance. I sent a voice message back. Marcus, I appreciate you saying that. I know it wasn't easy. I forgive you. Not because I'm over it, but because carrying anger is exhausting and I'm choosing to put it down. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. I'm not coming back. I'm not reintegrating into family dynamics that hurt me. I wish you healing and growth. I hope you build something real next time. But I'm building my life here, with people who see me. That has to be enough. I never heard from him again. I think, in a strange way, my honesty gave him permission to move forward too. The years continued. Phoenix appreciated in value beyond my wildest projections. The charter business expanded. I hired a full-time captain, marketed to corporate retreats and destination weddings. Revenue hit $130,000 annually. I purchased a second yacht, smaller, used it for personal trips while Phoenix generated income. My portfolio diversified into real estate, stocks, bonds. Mason structured everything to minimize tax exposure and maximize growth. By 36, my net worth crossed 2 million. Not generational wealth by billionaire standards, but security I had never imagined as that 27-year-old kid on a bus leaving Detroit. Jerome's health declined when I was 37. Diabetes complications, kidney function dropping, dialysis 3 times weekly. He moved to Miami, couldn't handle Detroit winters anymore. I set him up in a condo near the marina, covered his medical expenses, hired nursing care. He protested once. "You don't owe me this." I cut him off. "You're the only one who showed up. That has value. Literal value. Let me return it." He cried that day. First time I'd ever seen it. We sat in his new living room, ocean visible through the windows, and he told me about my grandmother's last days. "She asked about you. Wanted to know if you were okay. I told her you were more than okay. That you were thriving. She smiled and said good. She said you had her fight in you. That the world wouldn't break you like it broke her." Jerome passed 2 years later. Peaceful. In his sleep. The hospice nurse found him in the morning, Luna curled at his feet. She had snuck into his room somehow, like she knew. I organized the funeral. Small. Intimate. Just the people who actually knew him. Mason gave a eulogy about Jerome's integrity, his loyalty, his refusal to participate in family dysfunction. I scattered his ashes off Phoenix, miles offshore, where the water turns from green to deep blue. Luna sat at the bow, watching, silent. The inheritance shocked me. Jerome had been quietly wealthy. Owned properties in Detroit he rented out. Investments he never mentioned. He left everything to me. $1.3 million. The note with the will was simple. Build something that lasts. You know how. I used half to start a foundation. The Jerome Williams Fund for Young Adults Estranged from Family. Scholarships for kids aging out of foster care, grants for people rebuilding after family rejection, housing assistance for those starting over. Mason helped structure it. We funded our first 10 recipients within 6 months. Every one of them had a story like mine. Different details, same arc family that chose others. Pain that fueled ambition. Success that revealed who really mattered. I'm 41 now. Phoenix is worth over $1 million. The foundation has helped 300 people. My yachts, plural now, have taken me to every Caribbean island, down to South America, across to Europe. I've built relationships in a dozen countries, friendships based on mutual respect and shared values. Luna is 13, moving slower, but still my constant companion. Mason just made partner at his firm, credits our work together as his proving ground. The charter business runs itself, managed by a team I trust. I haven't spoken to my parents in over 13 years. Marcus either. I hear updates occasionally through channels I can't fully block. Dad recovered from his heart attack. Lives in subsidized housing. Mom's cancer went into remission. Works part-time at a library. Marcus manages a warehouse for someone else's company. Stable. Unremarkable. They exist in a different universe, one I visited briefly before escaping. Sometimes people ask if I regret it. The cutoff. The hardline boundaries. The refusal to reconcile. I tell them the truth. I regret that it was necessary. I regret that unconditional love wasn't mutual. I regret that I had to choose between my well-being and their comfort. But I don't regret choosing myself. That choice built everything good in my life. Reversing it would destroy everything I've become. The lesson I learned isn't about family specifically. It's about worth. For 27 years, my worth was defined by other people's recognition. When they withheld it, I felt worthless. Moving to Miami, building Phoenix, creating a life they couldn't touch, taught me that worth is intrinsic. It exists whether anyone acknowledges it or not. The yacht didn't make me valuable. I was always valuable. The yacht just made it visible to people who only see success they can measure. True family shows up in the struggle, not just the success. Everyone else is just related. That's not bitterness talking. It's clarity. It's the wisdom earned through years of trying to be enough for people who needed me to stay small so they could feel big. It's the peace that comes from finally understanding that you can't shrink yourself enough to make insecure people comfortable. They'll just demand you shrink more. If you're watching this and relating, understand something crucial. Your family's inability to see you is not evidence of your invisibility. It's evidence of their limitations. You are not too much. You are not too ambitious. You are not selfish for wanting acknowledgement. You're just surrounded by people who feel threatened by your light. Leave. Build. Thrive. And when they come back, because your light got too bright to ignore, remember why they left in the first place. Remember who stayed when the light was just a flicker. Those are your people. Everyone else is just audience members trying to get backstage after the show's already sold out.